What is going on, YouTube? Dr. Away here. And this video, I've actually already done this video, technically speaking, but this is going to be way more comprehensive than the last video. This is about, I'm basically going to give you the down and dirty when it comes to rallying and KvK1 specifically. And then now that I know the knowledge and the actual details of each of the rally leaders' accounts and what their capabilities are and aren't, right, I can make some really serious recommendations and not just speak very generally. And I think that this information goes for how any typical kingdom would work. I think if it was a kingdom that had more whales, then okay, more people could specialize. But I still think that they would struggle with the exact same problems that we're going to experience. And maybe it's just a little bit less of an issue, but it still would be an issue. Especially if those whales were not as patient and also not as forward thinking as some others, right? So, in my opinion, this is the long game. If you play this game, you're in it for the long game. And like KvK1 isn't really that spectacular of a commander to win his rewards. Like Charlemagne, like don't get me wrong, he'll fuck up a city, but like he does nothing else. And how often do you really attack cities? Well, hopefully you never do it in your home kingdom, so only in KvK. And people can do a slew of things to protect themselves if they're smart. You usually get your city zero because you're doing something unoptimal or stupid. Simple as that, right? So you don't really have to go all in on KvK1. It's KvK something else. 2 is pretty good because it moves in TI. That's not the point of this video. I digress. So the first thing I want to talk about is the rally cap. So let's see here. Let's go to an enemy's flag. Well, not an enemy, but somebody that's not in our alliance. Everybody's friends here. Let's take this flag. It's these people. By all costs, right? So in their flag, they can have what 1.5 mil, and maybe I'll just go to my flag because I don't think I can. Obviously, I can't reinforce it. Right? You get the 1.5 million. Right? Now, that's what you're up against, right? 1.5 million. And for, your specific castle, it can be a variety of things, right? Of different capacities. At max 2 million, 1.6 at 24, 23 is 1.5. So to just go break even, you got to have at least a level 23 castle. There's no doubt about it. If we're going to rally something, then everybody who's rallying needs to have a 1.5 million castle. And essentially at this stage in the game, if that's going to be the case, then there's going to be some gymming involved, right? So for example, it takes 12,095 books of the Covenant to get a 1.5 million castle. Assuming that expertise Minamoto, which every person that's going to be rallying did. I mean, that's something that kind of goes together. So you would only really need 10,195 books, right? And that's basically saying, if you do 2 more than gems events, you spend them all on books of the Covenant. You would only need 195 more books to get to the 15. The 1.5 mil rally, and we already had one. Another one is coming up. So to be more specific, Gotham, and Rombo, they're at 1.2 mil rallies. Okay, so they need 6,250 more books of the Covenant, about somewhere around in there. At maximum, they would need that, right? So if there was another more than gems event, if they spent all of those gems, 50,000 gems on that, and then maybe a little bit more gems, right? They would have it. guaranteed. You know, at most 62,500 gems. And them doing that, making that sacrifice to do something like that, dramatically improves our. I mean, I really do mean dramatically. That 1.2 to a 1.5, like us just being able to break even pound for pound, right, with the rally cap is super important. And obviously, August already has the 2 million. Right, and that's why we only need very few ralliers, because I mean, if you don't got the rally capacity, I mean, I don't care what your rally is, you know, I don't even care what the fucking defense is. If you're down 200k troops, 300k troops, you're done. You're done, right? And if you can't reinforce anymore, you're done. Just cancel. You're done. There's no need to fight. If they're reinforcing, you're not, or they have the, you know, you don't even have the 1.5 mil to at least break even. No. And I'll tell you why that's important. So take like literally like Gotham and Rambo. I hope you're watching this video. This video is made literally with you in mind in August. You got to get to 1.5 million. You got to. I don't know any other way that we'll have be successful other than at least hitting the 1.5. You know, the last two levels is 3,000 books for 24 and 5,000 books for 25. You know, that can wait to KvK too. Fuck all the bullshit. That's too much great of a cost. But to at least break even, I feel like that's appropriate. Okay, and the reason why the break even point is extremely important is because when you attack, you know, an enemy structure, when you attack an enemy structure, when you attack a city or alliance building, right, all severely wounded units will die. That means you get 100% deaths on your severely wounded, meaning you got to train up new troops. So it's like absolutely savage to get wrecked as the attacker. Now, vice versa, you know, on the other hand, not vice versa, but on the other hand, if your troops are defending an attack in an allied city or alliance building, you're only half severely wounded. Right? Only half of your severely wounded are going to die, and then half is going to your hospital. And you can ultimately get that back. You know, you get that back, but and half of your troops die. So even if you break even, it's not really like you're breaking even, because you theoretically lost double, right, the amount of troops that they just lost. Double, right? So it's extremely important as the attacker that you know what the fuck you're doing and why. And that's really good, because as an attacker as well, you kind of can know what you're up against before you deal with it. So like, right, they're different. They see the rally coming. They put some stuff in the flag. You'll see at least what they're working with. Maybe they're smart and they hide what they're gonna have, but you still see the troop type. You know, you kind of know what you're gonna be up against, or some theoretical combinations, right? And then you can cancel that rally and reconsider what you got and who has what and what's gonna work, right? Sometimes you can just let it rock from jump, you know, and see what happens. Um, and so because of that, like, you want to at least meet the 1. I can't stress that enough, that 1.5 million. And based on the data that I collected on each people, there's very few people that have enough gems to make that happen. I mean, it depends on me. They got time to buy more. I mean, don't get me wrong. All you got to do is max purchase a couple of bundles and you got the cheddar, but let's move on. There's a checklist that you got to go through. There's a checklist that you got to go through when you're a rally leader or garrison captain, for that matter. You know, you're gonna get your VIP level. That's stagnant. You don't got to check that, but just know, like, higher VIP level you get, you start getting some bonuses. I want to say at 11, 5% attack, then you get the defense, you get health here, troop capacity, which isn't that important. And then you'll get the march speed here, and then the last one I think you would get is VIP 17, where you get all damage. So theoretically speaking, you know, as far as we're concerned, right, you know, nobody's above 16, So as long as you're at VIP 13, right, you would get the maximum combat effectiveness of anybody that's going to be rallying, you know, on our side in KvK, right? So, you know, even 12, like I'm at 12, and I mean, like, I'm just as effective as most people, besides for like 2 or 3 people, right? Because they made it to 14 or beyond. Only one person has passed 14, and that's August, right? Fair enough. So that matters. Your tech will matter. You know, my tech isn't as great as some of the others, but it's not bad. You know, and most people's tech that's below August is relatively the same. We got like 3 kind of streams. You got August better than everybody. Gotham and Rombo have very similar tech, and then it's me and kind of everyone else in the top 10 have relatively the same tech, relatively speaking. Boom, that matters. Then it's gear, and gear does matter a whole lot, but the gains are so incremental for, you know, getting things that it's like, you know, this is pretty good. A 5% of stats, like I think that like you can't, nobody's crafting legendaries yet. So the next thing you could get would be Seth's Brutality. That's 5.5%. 7% of stats, fuck that. Like that's not worth, right? There is the option for the breastplate. I think you can get 8%. I'm getting 5.5%, so I'm missing out on 2.5% of stats. Like, you see what I mean? Like, I'm probably missing compared to like an all epic set counterpart, which I guess theoretically is possible, especially if you're buying geared up. But I don't think people are buying a geared up bundle yet, right? I don't think we've gotten that far in the game. So gear doesn't play as much of an important role as it will later, when that's like literally what you're trying to do in the late game is get the best gear. Okay. So I think having just blues and some greens is probably pretty appropriate. Like, you know, obviously if you can craft up the epics, do it. The purples, do it. I would focus more on the accessories, like having silent trials. And I don't know if any we're gonna have. I don't know if we're gonna be able to have, you know, two of them, maybe. You know, if we were like really doing the keeps, I think we could probably pick up the Delane's amulet. That's pretty much what it's gonna be, is the Delane's amulet. You can't get that yet. Yeah. It's pretty much Delane's amulet and Silent Trial is gonna be the combo. If there was any, and just having one is probably gonna be better than most. Okay, so that's the gear. Then, like again, like the other way you're gonna get stats, you know, is from the commander themselves. Boom, there you go. There are some things that some people want. That all that stuff is more or less stagnant. Like that's not going to really change very easily. But let's say what's some things that you can boost your stats other than those things. The first one that I think a lot of people forget about is this. So you're gonna do a rally, right? Let's say I'm doing minus Al. Boom, you see that? I'm already set up for that. And then, you know, arguably, I would probably want health over 1% attack, probably, especially on this type of combo. And then if you do unlock Nighthead, which I think most of all the rally leaders did, like I would do the Sal. If you're doing minus Sal, I would make one of them the rallied army, and then the other one the troop defense and health. Boom, there you go. And that's, you know, 2% of stats, or 3% of stats. You know, I think that's. I mean, like again, it's 100% troop death. If that 3% saves you even 1,000 troops, even any type of troops you can save by having more stats is 100% relevant, right? I'm not going to knock anybody for optimizing in that way. You can always get runes, right? If you can, there's like 5%, 10% rune over here. You know, obviously we're gonna be in Lost Kingdom, so it's different, but get the buffs, the rune buffs. right? You can always go into war frenzy, but I would be careful with war frenzy because you won't be able to pop a peace shield for um, you won't be able to pop a peace shield for 15 minutes. So if you do scout to get that damage boost, just know that your city is rallyable because you're probably going to be pretty close. Probably going to be pretty close to the front lines if you're rallying that flag, or relatively speaking close. And just know, like, you can get rallied 15 minutes after you do that. You know, if you're level 25 City Hall. And that, I mean, like, that's enough time for them to, let's say they could launch a rally on a counter rally on your rally, and then launch a rally on your city. Like, as soon as you do that, and then that'll make you bag up a little bit, or at least something to think about. I would probably just take it because if they rally a city that's severely wounded for you as a player, and then people can reinforce, and that's like a really good. I mean, if you're going to reinforce anything, like a city is pretty good to reinforce because you're going to get some of your resources back for doing that. I don't think that's a good idea, but just know that they can do that, right? You can also ask for a title like Justice or any of those titles, really. I mean, in KvK, I don't fuck the trying to give out buffs if there's fighting going on. Like, people who's fighting rallying need those buffs, not that buff. The titles, right? General 5%, 10% of stats, right? That's a huge one. The king, if you want to change the king, I mean, if it's 15% of fucking stats, like, you know, 5% here, 5% there of stats. So I mean, those options are there. You also can pop tokens, the boost, um, 5% attack, 5% defense. Okay. And then I think that's it for all of the ways. So I would go through that checklist, right? You don't got to you can check your gear, check that, right? And then you would check, okay, do I got a room? Do I got a token? Are my commander buffs set up the right way? Can I ask for a title? Then once all that's done, you're good to go, right? And then you'll be ready to basically fight. Okay. Now I want to go over the KvK combos themselves, and then I'm gonna come at this with the premise. I can't say for sure what's the best for us, what's not the best for us. I can just say that these are the problems that we might experience, and this is the advantage of using this particular combo over some other ones, right? That's something that I can say, but I couldn't say definitively. Like, if we use this every time, we're going to win every time, because it doesn't work like that, right? It's a lot of factors. So realistically speaking, the biggest problem that we're going to have is, do we have enough troops, right? Do we have enough troops to continually reinforce? I already told people, they got to be comfortable with the amount of troops that they're going to be losing. And here's the thing. I'm going to have somewhat over a full march of each troop type. And I need to walk out of KvK with a full march of every troop type. I haven't done training in a very, very long time. I haven't done serious training since the third Caesar MGE. So, like, I'm gonna easily be able to train up, another 50k infantry, another 50k cavalry, and then 100k crossbowmen, maybe even more, depending on if there's a bundle that I max purchase, right? So I'm comfortable having I'd be comfortable having around 75,000 infantry dead, 75,000, about 75,000 of each unit dead. Like, I'm comfortable losing that amount of troops, but I'm uncomfortable losing any more than that, right? I would be very uncomfortable losing any more than that, right? I need to at least have a full march, right? That's what I'm comfortable losing. For somebody else, right? And I'm one of the players, so it's a lot of people that's not going to even they're going to barely, if not even have a full march, and they might not feel comfortable losing anywhere near that, right? So, you got to send what you're comfortable with and knowing that it's going to die, Some people might lose, might be only comfortable losing 25,000 troops. And if that's your account, then that's okay, But you got to know what you're able to lose. And because of that, I think we're going to have trouble filling rallies, and not filling the rally, but reinforcing the rally to keep that rally at max capacity. Because the idea is that you want the rally to be at the best it can be at all times. So it's basically supposed to be constant reinforcements. And that's why I put so much emphasis on making sure your open field commanders are the best that they can be, so you can have as many troops as you can, and then you can reinforce large quantities, right? And that's why I've always pushed training the right way, training 24 hours a day. That's why I've been pushing all of that stuff this whole time, is because, right, the more troops you have, the more troops you would feel comfortable losing. And because we're going to have that problem of, I think, filling rallies, I think mixed troop rallies are going to be extremely valuable. I think mixed troop rallies are going to be extremely valuable in KvK1. And I was a little upset because YSG can really be a force to reckon with if he's expertise in KvK1. And I think the only people that can do that is August could do it. I can do it. Limit can do it. And I don't think anybody else would have the sheer number of sculptures, universal sculptures, to do it as early as we are. So, like, I don't think we're going to get to the third wheel by the time the major fighting happens. I think we might get to the first, maybe the second. If we get to the third, like, okay, fine, more people might be able to do it, but like we would have to get to the second for me to even feel comfortable doing something like that. Then I don't know if it's worth it for me personally, as won't be as strong. We have to see what happens, right? But August, right, or a limit, it would make more sense why they would do something like that. Okay. And the reason why I like YSG, because I mean, even though he is an archer commander, as a secondary, it doesn't really matter as much. It does matter a lot if you have archers, but if you don't, it's not like you're killing your defense or your rally, right? So that's the context that I'm coming from, and that's just some of the things that I want to talk about. So let's go to the commander tab so we can use some more visual. So some mixed armies some mixed, captains that honestly wouldn't even be bad. Like, it would be fine if you used them, but because of the nature of the beast and these commanders being Gogi commanders, they're relatively bad investments. So, for example, Freddy. We were hitting a city. Like, Freddy E-Song would probably, if you could get, even if it was E-Song primary with all archers and then a Freddy secondary, or if you could just, okay, fine, mixed troops, because we're going to have a problem reinforcing, and we want to keep a city rally field, like 100%, we want a city rally to be field. Like, I'm going to take the mixed troops, YSG, Freddy YSG, and then it's just like, well, if that's the case, then it's like, okay, that's good. That would be a good rally. But the problem with that is like, who's invested in Freddy? It's not really an option. He gets the axe, right? And then it's the same thing with Mehmet. Mehmet is not a bad investment as far as like if you were really trying to hoof it, right? If you had a 5-5 anything with these, like a 5-5-1-1, hopefully it's better than that. And then it's like, okay, fine, but are you really going to invest in a gold key commander? No, right? I can't recommend that. Hannibal Barca is available to a whale, and it is available to August. He can have Hannibal Barca expertise. I'm pretty sure. I know it's 5551, right? And even at the 5551, I mean, I think you'll be stronger expertise 100%, like August, if just expertise in like using the KvK one. But most people, that's not an option. For us, we do have one person with that option. Caesar, it is an option because he came from MGE, and a lot of people, you really only need the 5551, and then he would best shine at attacking cities, you know. But as a mixed troop, like, you know, it matters more about the tech than the commander anyway. And if this is what you got, and it's not trash for KvK1, like okay, obviously later, you know, some people say he's trash. I still don't think he's trash later. I just think you have to use him in a different way. But makes troops, you know, be able to reinforce a whole lot easier and make that fight the big fight. Yes, Julius Caesar is an option. And then, believe it or not, like Ethelflaed is a seriously considerable option. I did the calculations. Let's say we start the fighting happen around day 120. KvK is like 60 days, right? We haven't started Eve of the Crusade yet. It's already day like 80 something. Day 80, yeah, it's about day 80. It's day 80 in this, so it's like day 83 or 84. I can look at the, so y'all know I'm not pounding sand up y'all ass with these calculations that I'm about to tell you. Okay, this is where we're at. Yep, it's day 82. I'm almost 83, right? Okay, so right, let's say Eve of the Crusade started next week. You know, it's like day 90. Eve of the Crusade is like about 10 days, 3 days each day. So that's day 100. Fighting starts because it's a 60-day. Like fighting doesn't start immediately, right? You have some time. So let's say, throwing out a number, 120 days the fighting starts. And it's probably even maybe more than that. I don't really remember. This is my first it's my first, but it's a long, you know, KvK1. I did that like a really long time ago. I don't know exactly when the fighting starts, right? But I know it's not immediately. Let's say it was 120 days, right? You need about 6 Ethelflaed sculptures a day to expertise. I can get 3 a day guaranteed. Plus, I get anywhere from 1 to 5, more close to 1 to 3. So I mean, you can get pretty damn close to the expertise. And here's the truth. How many other commanders are you going to have expertise anyway? Right? So I think that, like, if you had a 5/5, like, I mean, granted, I didn't do it this way because I thought that being able to level up my commanders was way more valuable than me being a rally leader with this commander. Like, I think the barbarian is more important. But to each his own, right? If this was the case, it's a big case for her being good because, you know, you get a rallied army capacity bonus. So now your 1.5 million rally is like 1.650, right? Million, 1.65 million. You know, just being able to bring a little bit more troops, and especially since it's hard to reinforce, it's harder to reinforce a rally, right? This is good. You get some counterattack, damage taken reduction. This is like a huge debuff to the garrison. You get some attack bonus. Maybe you get to like 15%, 8%, right? Attack bonus when you're mixed troops. I'm not going to talk about the expertise because it's a good chance you probably won't, right? But you'll be like pretty damn close, right? You could get pretty damn close. I mean, it's a good chance this skill could actually be maxed if you went for 5/5 and then you let the skills land wherever. Like, it's a good chance this skill could be maxed, right? I'm bringing up this is a big case for Ethelflaed, right? If you did have the expertise, you could put 1 point into here and reduce, reduce the march speed of my support. And if you're slow and you have the expertise, you would do 20% more damage. Hella good. There's a lot of anti-skill damage in here. Not so much that the garrison will do a lot of skill damage. So like if you're against like Martel YSG. That is a lot of skill damage, so it probably would be worth to have something like this. But let's say it was like, I don't know, Martel Richard. That's like, they don't even do any skill damage. So then it's like you would probably, in that case, change your build and go like more into the leadership, but you would still get rejuvenate, right? Okay, it's a big case for KvK1, right? I like her a lot. And then if we're talking about combinations, the real combinations, I think, viable combinations are Caesar Barca, which can be done by August, and then you know you could do FOYSG would be pretty solid, I guess. A lot of people will have a decent Caesar. You could do FO Caesar as well. Both of those would probably hit a city okay. Both of those, all three of those combinations. So Caesar Barca, FOYSG, Caesar YSG for a city would be pretty good too. And then FO Caesar, like, even all of those, even in just a flag, hitting a flag would be probably fine. I think that the better ones would probably be Caesar Barca and FOYSG, especially because of how much damage YSG is going to do, because you're reducing the defense and health of the target, and then the YSG hits, and then you could bring mostly archers, and then just when the archers get low, reinforce with anything else. But I mean, like, it can primarily be archers, right, for that type of combo, and then it'll do even better, right? I think that those are the best combinations that I think that we could do right now, for mixed. Right, and then like obviously we would have August do the Caesar Barca for cities. That just is just, oh my god, it's gonna be so gross. Okay, now for Cavs, the gold standard, the best thing you could do really is minus Sal, if both of them were like expertise. But like, let's say you know you didn't work on your Sal wasn't as strong, right? You could do a Pelagius Miner, right? Because like at the current stage that my South is at, I really want to focus more on getting Richard sculptures, right? Your South might be maybe something like this, not as ideal, right? So you could do, if you wanted to keep it still all cavalry, you could do a Pelagius Miner, and I'm like, oh my god, why are you rallying with, you know, a epic? It's not as bad as you might think, right? I would get 30% of stats. You know, I'm gonna get 30. What is it, like 30% of stats from this skill, right? 10% my speed don't matter. So I'm getting 30% of stats on Pelagia's expertise, and then you know I'm getting 900 healing. I'm not getting a rage restore, but I'm getting a rage restore from my active ability, right? So I have the healing, right? Similar, right? And then I have the stats as well. And then I get that my active skill doesn't do as much damage, but I do restore rage, right? So like if your Sal wasn't in the best spot, I mean, you could get a level 60 Pelagius a lot easier than you can get, you know, a level 60 Miner. And then if your South wasn't good anyway, the Pelagius Miner seems a pretty reasonable of a, you know, a Cav march to do. And it's good damage. Like, Pelagius will do good damage, like 100%. And I think that that's a very good substitute, right? Very good substitute, especially if you can, I mean, get them to 60. It's just so much easier. It's the same skill trees that Miner would actually use. So there's no difference in talents. Good substitutes. Okay, I really wouldn't recommend doing any other Cav thing. Like here's an idea. Here's an idea that would be pretty sick in my opinion. The Miner YSG, because YSG has to be expertise. But here's the thing with that minor YSG, it protects your rally. So a minor Sal, while does a fuck ton of damage, it's single target, and people can swarm you down a lot easier. And it's not so much as they would swarm you, but they could counter rally you pretty easily. But if you having that YSG, that keeps the enemy a lot more honest and less tempted to swarm or counter rally you. Way less tempted to do something like that. So I think the minor YSG it is an option that you could throw in there, right? And it synergizes very well and will do a fuck ton of damage. I mean, absolutely destroy. And I think that those are the Cav rallies, right? Minor Sal is the pretty standard thing. Minor YSG, you know, like saying like if your Sal wasn't up to code, and then even if your Sal wasn't up to code again, you could do Pelagius Minor, and I think that that's a good you know, combination. You could do Minor Pelagius too. It doesn't really make it. It's the same thing, right? Like if it was me doing it right, I would just do Minor Primary, get him to 60 because he's so close, and then just for right now, just get all his skills just unlocked, right? That's something you could do. Okay. Oops. So now let's go to infantry, right? For infantry rally, I think the best thing that you can do really is the Martel YSG, right? You're really prickly. Nobody is going to want to counter rally. I mean, they would, but I mean, like, this rally could take a counter rally pretty well, all things considered. It's tanky, counterattack damage, YSG, right, for all the reasons I said before, has the AoE, has extra skill damage, so he's not going to buff Martel's skill damage, but he'll buff his own skill damage, because Martel doesn't have any skill damage. Martel will buff Esong's damage, all infantry, good thing, right? And then, like, here's the Walmart version, the great value version, right? You can do Sun Tzu YSG. Now it's not as tanky, right? I get that, but if YSG's expertise is still the same thing, like you won't get swarmed, get counter rally, you ain't gonna get swarmed or they're done, right? You do get some tankiness, and then he will do really good damage. Like the rage regen is 100% there, right? The rage regen is 100% there. It's just squishier. But that is a rally count, and I get it. I know that sounds weird, but I mean, like, what are your other options, right? Like that is definitely an option. You know what? You know, if you were attacking a city, I would probably do Jorn. YSG could be a difference, right? But I think there's better options. Why not just do Caesar Barker? Because like we really only want August hitting cities. Like that's kind of what we want. We don't want anybody else hitting the city. Okay. So now we got for archers. I think the best thing you can do for archers is, you know, LC it YSG. There, we might be able to get one LC it, one or two LC it. MGEs before the fighting starts. So I mean, you got a 5-5-1-1 LC it, but it's just like the 5-5-1-1 LC it. You know, better than, I don't know what expertise Herman or expertise Kusunoki. It's close, but I don't know. You know, you could use, and one thing I like about, you know, a Herman YSG is that, like, the skill damage factor is there. You reduce their rage, and if you have silent trial like I do, like, it's 200 rage reduction, like about every skill cycle. So every 10 seconds, it's 100 rage gone from using, you know, the silent trial, and then this is reducing rage. If the silence lines up good, you can stop them from regenerating rage and get some more. Like, it's very disruptive. You know, you're a little bit lighter on the stats compared to Kuso, who would give you 10% defense, but you know, the 10% attack, and then you got a really good chance to generate more rage. YSG regens, you know, the rage. It's a very strong rage engine together, and that's what I like about that combo. Now, and it's very disruptive to the enemy. Now, Kusunoki does get rid of debuffs, which is real. Like if you were going against like a Richard Martel, Richard debuffs, you can clear that. You know, you can clear that damage reduction, which I guess is relevant. If you're going against a Richard, he has Archer attack and defense, so more stats, right? 30% total. And then he has extra damage factor, which will get buffed, by YSG's skill damage. So, I mean, it is a cool option, especially if you're going against a Richard and Garrison. I really don't like Richard for Garrison because if you're going to heal troops, why don't you just reinforce? But I don't know. For KvK 1, you know, it's kind of tough to get those reinforcements. So being able to heal what you already got in the flag might be, you know, an idea worth thinking about, but it'll cause more severely wounded overall. It might be better just to not drag out the fight, maybe, and then just like obviously like Martel YSG's probably the best Garrison that you can do. I think that would be better, but you know, who knows, right? If we're probably going to see some Richard because that's what they got, and their Martel isn't in a good spot. Okay, so that's the pairs and the combinations. It took a long time. You know, I don't know if I missed anything, but that should cover the majority of it. You know, here's the thing that I will say: don't reinforce a rally from far away because we're so big on trying to keep the rally up. So, for example, right, if I send these guys, so let's say this city here, reinforce, like, it's got some capacity on it, right? But I'm not actually there, and it's going to take 20 seconds for me to get there. And let's say somebody was closer, they could reinforce immediately and actually get that combat effectiveness. So you don't want to reinforce a rally from, let's say, even a minute away. Definitely not more than that. I say you need to be anywhere from 5 to 10 seconds away, and that would be okay. I mean, honestly, I would wait until I'm like for example, I would just move close, right, to where the rally is, or the defense is, like this. Let's say this is a rally, and then like as soon as I'm like right here, then I reinforce. Because that's not going to stop somebody else from reinforcing the rally if they were already there. Versus me, let's say the rally's over here and like all the way over here, and then I reinforce from there. Like, no, that's dumb because now I'm potentially stopping somebody from reinforcing. Okay, one person does it, you're already down 200K, right? I already said, like, I'm telling people to spend 62,500 gems so they can have 300 more rally. And if you sabotage that by reinforcing from a minute, 2-3 minutes away, well, shit, you know, the rally might actually be done by then. And they're already just at this deficit. Like, you will kill the rally. Like, that's worse than bringing the wrong troop type, reinforcing from far away. Because at least if you bring the wrong troop type, but you're at least in the motherfucker, you're fighting, right? At least you're fighting. But to reinforce, I mean, the troops aren't even in the flag or in the rally, and it's just savage. And if the enemy's making mistakes like that and we play it perfectly, we can beat a lot of people that are theoretically a lot better than we are, has better captains, better commanders, because the I'm not, you know, the free to play, the people that's not the garrison captain really, or the flag, the garrison captain or the rally leader, they're not, the people that are supposed to be reinforcing aren't doing it correctly. So that's one thing that I will say. Like, this was mainly about what the ralliers would be doing, but I wanted to talk about just briefly at the end about what you know the people that are joining should be doing. So hopefully you enjoyed the video. I look forward to KvK. KvK won a whole lot. You're a master governor. See you in the next video.